We're only hiring our friends. I own the company. I'm putting all my money into the company. The company's incredibly successful. It's killing it. We are growing fast and furious. I'm hiring all the talent in the world. We're making $1 million a day.
That's a lot.
2000. A lot. I'm a super rich guy. I have the famous $100 million set aside just in case. Like super rich. And the rest of my money, just feed the beast. Feed the beast, golden goose, feed the golden goose. Cantor Fitzgerald has no debt. Howard Lutnick has no debt. Well, I make a lot of money. Why would I need debt? Right? No debt. Rock star company, winning in every way. On the top of the World Trade Center, have expanded. 101st to the 105th floors of the World Trade Center. Right? September 11th. I've hired all my friends. My brother works there. My best friend Doug works there. My roommate from college, his brother works there. My other best friend, his brother-in-law works there. And my other best friend, his brother-in-law works there. I turned 40 that summer. So before then, it's April of 2001. I'm going to turn 40 during the summer. I declare victory. I win in life. I'm making all the money in the world. It's my company. I work with all my friends and they work with all their friends. Everybody works with their friends. Okay. I win. I take each of my senior executives, 6 of them, out to dinner alone, each one alone. I get up from my table. I walk around the other side and I kiss them. I tell them I love them. I said, but I win. So and I give them each, 20, 25 million bucks worth of stock. I said, I win. So here's the way it's going to go. Every day my kids are out of school, I'm out. I'm going to live my life with my kids. When they're in, I'm in. Same as I always am, but I'm just going to be out way more often. You guys are great. Here's a stock. I give them mine. Okay. That's April. I have my birthday party. That's summer. About 65 couples at my birthday party. So my 40th birthday.
So your 40th birthday, 120 people come.
Yeah. 120, 130 people. It's a nice party. And then September 11th, it's July. July 14th is my birthday. And 3 months later, 20 people at my party get killed. So my friends. My brother gets killed. My best friend Doug gets killed. All those people I listed before, they all get killed. We employ 50 sets of brothers. And we lose, more than a dozen brothers, meaning mom loses two sons. I have one father, he lost 2 daughters because they work together. And 658 people out of I have 960 in New York. 658 people get killed. 658 people get killed.
Why not all 900?
Whoever wasn't in the office. So every single person who was in the office gets killed. There's no way out. Mm-hmm. I am here because I'm taking that oldest boy who I held up, first day of kindergarten, 5 years old, kindergarten, new school called Horace Mann, 90th Street. First day is September 12th. My best friend, Doug, his son's first day. My first day is September 11th. So I'm not there. His kid's first day, September 12th. Mm-hmm. If I had gone to, by the way, and he pushed me to try to go to that school called Riverdale, which is great school. But for whatever reason, I chose Horace Mann, and that choice saved my life because his school started the 12th, so he was in the 11th, and he got killed. He was planning to take the next day off. He had to take his kid to school. So I'm at the school, and those days when you took a picture, when you developed the picture, it often had the timestamp in the lower right-hand corner and like an LED display, like your LED clock. And I have that picture is 8:46 of me and my boy, him wearing his like little backpack with his little hair right in front of the school. Right. I have that picture. And then I go up in the school and then they tell me a plane hit the building, but I think it's like a Piper Cub or something. So I get in the car and I drive and tell my driver, let's go to Fifth Avenue because that's the soonest place where you can see the tower. I mean, I've been working there my whole life and I know the building by heart. And I see just fire and smoke just pouring out of my tower, the one with the antenna on the top. So I'm the top floors. And my driver starts crying. And then he starts crying hysterically. I go, let's just get there. Let's just get there. We have to get there. We have to get there. He's a retired police officer, detective. So he uses his badge and we get all the way to the building. And I get out of my car and I go to the door. And it's the door on Church Street, on this side. And I'm grabbing people, asking them what floor they're on. I just keep grabbing them because I know there's like 20 doors. And if I get one coming out of this door, then they're pouring out of all the doors. And I have everyone yelling out the floors, and people didn't have anybody standing around. They had no idea what to do. So they were all yelling out the floors. And the highest floor I got to was 92nd floor. And then I hear the loudest sound I've ever heard in my life. Now I haven't seen this. Remember, there's no video. There's no time. I got a flip phone at the time. So I start running. I'm dressed like this, suit and tie, shoes on. I'm running my ass off. I'm running as hard as I friggin' can. From what? I don't know. I look over my shoulder. Tornadoes chasing me. Remember that black cloud? You guys have seen the video. So I'm running all my might. Now I've gone from a sunny day in New York City with a blue sky to horror film. I'm in a suit in a horror film, and we all know how the guy in the suit with the horror film works out. So it's not a pretty sight. So I'm running. The tornado's coming. I see it coming from the right. So I dive under a car. And then whoosh, all black. The world's black. My eyes are open. It's black. I think to myself, I'm dead. This is dead. I mean, it's black and silent. So I go like this. And I stab myself in the eyes. And it hurts. So then I figure, okay, I'm not dead. I'm blind and deaf. I'm not blind and deaf, but I'm alive. So I get up. But of course, I'm hiding under a car. And I slam my head like so hard, and now I feel the blood like running down my face. So I climb out and I stand up. And then I start to run. But of course, it's pitch black. So what do you think I run into? Parked car. Just hammer into some parked car. I'm like running in the pitch black. And I just run into some parked car. So I hit the right quarter panel. The things go flying over the hood, smash those. So now I'm like, now I'm like, I get up on the ground. I'm like, I'm bleeding. I'm limping, all self-imposed, right? This is all just happened to me. And I'm walking in the darkness away from the World Trade Center. And so I just walk. And eventually, the black turns to gray. And you can see it literally drops down. And the event, of course, was the collapse of 2 World Trade Center. If one World Trade Center collapsed, I don't tell the story. If I run that way, I die. If I run that way, I die. I just ran this way. My driver ran that way too, but I didn't see him. I just found him like a half hour later. He found me and we walked uptown till people were clean. And then, so there's this line on a payphone. And this woman's talking on the phone. So I go up to the front of the line and I remember I'm like covered, like, it looks like I was flushed down some chimney a bunch of times. Plus I'm bleeding down my face and limping. And I am a horror movie, but now I'm like the character in the horror movie instead of, so I just hang up the phone from her and I take the cradle out of her hand and she turns around to me and starts cursing at me. And then she looks at me and goes, backs away. And I call my wife. It's been like 2 hours. I call her and she hears my voice and she makes this noise that I'll never forget. And because she said when she was watching on TV, when the Trade Center collapsed, she knew I'd be in the building. She knew I'd be there. And so she said when that collapsed, she fell to the ground and she thought I died. And it was 2 hours. So when I called her, she made this noise, because she understood what it was that people died. And then I told her everybody's dead who was in the building. Because I felt I was suffocating to death outside.
Yeah.
So I didn't buy this whole rescue recovery stuff for my people who were up a quarter mile. So, yeah, nobody survived. Nobody survived. So the only people who lived were either in the lobby.
Mm-hmm.
So think of my lawyer, my general counsel. He was in the elevator going up from 1 to 78 was like a speed elevator, big speed elevator. And then you switched and you had a sky lobby and you switched. So he's in the big elevator, plane hits the building. Elevators don't collapse. They have like a mechanical arm that goes out like this and slows it down and rolls it down. And then the doors open. He goes running out of the elevator. Fireball from the gas falling down, explodes through the lobby. Fireball goes across the front of the elevator. He's running out. Fireball runs out. Glass goes flying by. He steps out, gets covered in blood. So think about it. He stepped out between the glass and the blood. He gets splattered with blood. So I call my wife. I'm talking to my wife. She says, Stephen is alive and he lives in the village. So, all right. So I walk to the village. Okay, well, so I walk. I go to his apartment. I ring the bell. He answers the door. He's covered in blood. This is like 3 hours after the attack. So the guy's covered in blood. So I grab him. I go, "You're right. You're right." He goes, "Yeah, I'm all right." "Whose blood is it?" He goes, "I don't know." He's in his apartment. He could wash his face, but he's so in shock. He's just wandering around. And then there's the TV, and I look on the TV and I see the giant plane hit the building for the first time. So, that day I lost everybody in the office, 658 spectacular human beings, out of 960. And the only reason the other people didn't die is because they weren't at work yet. So if you think about it, on Wall Street, the show is on at about, 7:15, 7:30 latest. So everybody who's a money maker is in. So who comes in like after 8:45? Finance department, compliance department, legal department, all the support staff comes in later, but all the talent of revenue comes in when the show's on, right? So I lost everybody who made money in New York, and we were a hub and spoke, and the hub is obliterated from the face of the earth. So the challenge of survival becomes infinite because everybody who's alive thinks they're still going to get paid, and there is no revenue. It's gone. It's gone. So I try to figure out what to do. And remember, these 658 people, these are my colleagues and they're my coworkers, but they're my friends. And they're everybody's friend. Everybody who survived, best friend, college roommate, brother-in-law, everybody had that relationship. It wasn't one big happy family. It was like, and so we've got to take care of their families. We have to, but how? I can't. We have no money. We went from making $1 million a day to losing $1 million a day in like that, right? Because all these people are alive. You got to pay them. All the other offices around the world, you got to pay them. Got to pay rent everywhere else. Got to pay them. What money? No money. So we come up with our plan. We'll try to rebuild the company, and we'll give 25% of our profits to the families.
But you came up with this plan, just real quick. You came up with this plan that night, right? Didn't you do a phone call with the employees that were remained that night? So I don't know. It was probably the 12th at night, because I doubt I was capable of doing anything the 11th at night, but I can't remember. And we did a phone call of everybody at the firm, and we put it out on the news. If you work at Cantor Fitzgerald, call this number. Because we have no HR department. I have no one's phone number. I don't know, But the women, they went to their mother's house when their husband gets killed. You go to your mother's house. So I'm never going to find them.
I get everyone on the phone and say, we have two choices. We can shut the firm down and go to our friends' funerals, because there's going to be 20 funerals a day, every day for 35 straight days. Like 35 straight days. Like I couldn't even go to my friends' funerals because they would be literally my best friend from college's brother and my other best friend's brother-in-law were buried, had their funeral in different funeral homes, one in Westchester and one in Manhattan at the exact same second. So I went to one and my wife went to one. I couldn't even go to my friend's funeral. I mean, how horrible is that? So, we decided, or we'll go back to work and we'll have to work harder than we've ever worked before in our lives. But we got to do it to take care of their families. And so we decided we would give 25% of our profits to the families. We'd pay for their health care for 10 years. And I promised them all it would be at least $100,000 a family. Because if I didn't make enough profits in 5 years, I'll work for the rest of my life for it. Mm-hmm. And so we announced that. And a weird thing happens. The media, which had said lovely things about us, trying to rebuild the company, trying to take care of the families. And we had the mass murder of 658 people who work for us. They say, because a guy who looks like me can't be a human being, can't actually cry, can't actually be a person. Just, you're not allowed. So he must be lying. He's crying crocodile tears. The murder of my brother, my best friend, all my surrounding people and all the people I hired is insufficient to get a guy who wears a suit to cry. So I'm crying crocodile tears because I'm giving 25% of our profits. But of course, there's never going to be any profits. So 25% of nothing is nothing. Bill O'Reilly every night, death threats, calling me names. Rosie O'Donnell calling me names. Everybody's calling me names. All I did was have everyone around me get killed. And I tried to help them. But the media builds you up and then they whack you down. And so, but we have a different idea. We have 25% of our payroll. All my employees who we hire, we say, look, we got to take care of the families. So if I'm trying to hire you for $200,000, I can only pay 150. But we're going to take 50 grand and we're going to send it to the families. So every 2 weeks, we're going to just send the money. We're just going to send the money. I think we send it every month. We just send the money. And we just send the money. And then 3 of 4 people who we hired said yes. And the 1 out of 4, they just didn't take the job. It was okay. Like, if that's not your gig, don't come. So everybody who comes, think of how awesome they are. They're giving 25% of their pay to someone they don't even know because I asked them to. I mean, this is a story of a miracle. I have another story. So we have a big memorial in Central Park. Rudy Giuliani comes. He comes on the backstage. Comes up on the stage, and there's 5,000 people there because 658 people have husbands, wives, sons and daughters, friends, cousins. He walks out, he comes up to my ear and goes, who the fuck are all these people? Because he thought he was like going to some little, so we have this big memorial and my LA office, my most productive office in the hub and spoke, right? LA. These guys make millions and now the firm is destroyed. They could easily go across the street, set up shop, work for anybody else. They pay them a fortune to come, and I know they're going to leave. So they say to me, we're going to close the office. We're coming in for the memorial, and we need to see you. So we go to the memorial, and then they say they're going to come over to my apartment, and my heart is exploding out of my chest because I know what's going to happen. They're going to come in. They're going to tell me that they're leaving. And then the whole thing's going to unravel and I can't do anything about it. So I walk into my living room. There's 12 of them. And them closing the office is not a good thing, right? It's not a good thing. Look, they come in and they surround me and say, we're never leaving. I say, this is not what people do. This is what superhuman people do. This is what heroes do. Just get some hits. So they They stayed. And it was on their shoulders. We were able to rebuild the company. Then we hired all these other people and we rebuilt the company. The press beat the crap out of us. When did it stop? The end of October. I take my 100 million. Remember that 100 million just in case? Well, I got the 100 million just in case. I sent it to the families. Just give it away. I give it directly to them. I pay them their bonus for 2001. Cantor Fitzgerald's not going to pay a bonus. There's no money. It's out of business. It's destroyed. It's ruined. So I send them the money that they would have made had they lived. And I send them my money. And then the media just stops. Because what do you do with someone who does what they say they're going to do? That's like crazy. The guy actually says what he's going to do after everybody's been murdered. What a shock. So they leave me alone. And then at the end of the year, because now I'm paying the families once a month, I'm sending them money. The employees are, we're going to survive, and the business is, surviving. Let's not overdo it. There's no profits, by the way, because if you think about it, you say, well, how are you going to make a profit? The Financial Times, the sort of the orange, pinky newspaper, names me the man of the year. Like, I don't know. Angela Merkel was another year, and then the New York Times writes a multi-thousand word apology to me, January 3rd, 2002. Basically, the man who did what he said he would do, as if that's a high moral bar. You just do what you say you're going to do. So the company survives. And then to end that story for you, so we do that for 5 years. We give the families $180 million. And pay for their health care for 10 years. So now it's 2008. The financial crisis is going on, but we avoid it. We understand it. I see it coming. We avoid it, and we're making real money. So one of our divisions is now strong enough to take and go public. It's called BGC. I named it after Bernie Cantor's initials. B. Gerald Cantor, Bernard Gerald Cantor. Still public. It's worth about $5 billion now. And it's strong enough to take it public. And so we do an IPO, but a very different kind of IPO. So pages and pages of selling shareholders. So what I do is I take my shares and I pay all the employees back who donated. Remember that employee who gave 50 grand? Then the next year they got a raise. So they paid 55, and then they paid 60, and then they paid 65, and they paid 70. And they gave, I don't know, $300,000 over those 5 years to the families. They don't even know them. And how great is that person? How am I supposed to go on with my life and be a rich guy when I have these people who gave so much? So I give them, at the IPO, we sell about $180 million worth of shares, and I give them back all their money, which was not the deal. They didn't expect it. And then I give them on top of that. So I sell my shares and give them the money. And then I give them all another $180 million worth of shares. So they should have, I could say thank you. So they doubled their money. So their generosity doubled their money. And I squared it with them. So I could go on with my life. I could become successful as I have become. But I'm square with my employees. And, okay. What's the turnover at the firm?
Low.
Lowest in the world. What percentage of the company do the employees own of BGC? 30%. Now, they never sell.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And then it's 20 years later, but I have lots of new people. But the new people, they go out with the old people and they get the story of the company. And so the company is owned. Who works for who? Right? My employees own 30% of the public company. So I work for them. They work for me. So when I go and say I go on CNBC and I say, I've got the best employees, people think, he's just a CEO. It's like platitudes. No. Cantor Fitzgerald. We have the best employees because these are the greatest See, they stitched my soul back together on their shoulders with their money. They saved my life. And I am forever indebted to my employees because they are superhuman, spectacular.
But so are you.
Thank you.
Right? It kind of, in that entire story, it takes both sides.
Yeah, I don't tell that story too often. It doesn't really, it's kind of my,
but like if you
think 23 years later, I'm not going to cry. I'm a beast.
but
I'm not supposed to cry.
what you have to do is come up with $100 million idea this week and you'll be okay. No, but I do think that there is, in these stories, one of the interesting things about leadership is like it is in service to other people. And so you took care of employees and employees took care of you, and it kind of nets out positive. And so you get loyalty in both directions because you're just as loyal to them as they are to you.
Yeah. So that's, so we have two public companies, and the employees own 30% of both because one spun off of the other. So all my employees, they own it. It's cool. It's why I'm religiously in favor of your employees owning your company because I love the idea of I'm the boss and you own the company. So who works for who, right? Think about it. Let's say I screw all the employees. We're going to pay you all less and all your stock goes up and you get the same exact amount of money back in the afternoon. How dumb could you be, right? You're so aligned that you all work together. It's how it's supposed to be.